What's up, and welcome back to the Barcode Collective podcast. At the crib right now with my brother Andrew. It's been a while since he's been able to jump on. Again, we stay in daily contact, trying to manage and operate and all this shit. But it's nice to have a moment and a little extra screen time to bring a conversation to the Barcode Collective podcast. Again, give more of an update about everything that we've been working on and dealing with, not only through COVID, but just as growing pains as we try to work on these new businesses. I mean, those had their own struggles to begin with. And then again, COVID just shines the light on it and all that we're going through. So just going to get some perspective from Andrew and the whole Seattle operation and just some of the things going on in his personal world and trying to balance business. And welcome back to the podcast, man.
What's going on, man? Yeah, it's been a while. I mean, I think the struggle is real for everyone. I mean, these are unprecedented times where everybody is in this. Everybody is being affected in some fashion. And I think it's important to not discredit people's feelings, but just figure out, how do we not let this pandemic cripple us, and how do we continue to move forward? I mean, life waits for nobody. Time waits for nobody. So, quick update, Seattle, King County finally got the green light for phase 2, whatever that means. A lot of these numbers are arbitrary. Technically we weren't phase 2, but who knows? People say, okay, cool, phase 2. So that means now this is the new normal. So that means we finally opened our gyms after 3 full months of being down and trying to do damage control. Obviously safety is the utmost concern for us, but being very cognizant about health and being proactive with health and boosting our immune systems. So just encouraging members to trust us and to know that we're taking the safety measures, the precautions to get them in the door. That's step one, but it's going to be an uphill battle for the unforeseeable future.
Yeah, I mean, when you even talk about like safety measures and having everyone's health in mind, that can be interpreted in different ways too. It's like, what does that even mean? Does that mean washing our hands and wearing a mask, or does it mean getting back after building, trying to build up your immune system, getting workouts in and doing that in the safest manner possible? Because we got these government officials and people, putting these measures in place where just a lot of the times logically doesn't seem to even really make much sense, so mm-hmm. And again, as you mentioned, like these phases, like what do they even mean? Because as far as so we're like not fully open. Obviously there's restrictions down here in California, but we've been open over the past couple of weeks, and it really, the decision, it seems like, to open businesses has nothing to do with the actual numbers of positive tests or hospitalizations, because that sure as shit isn't going down, maybe at one brief moment, but shit's higher than it's ever been right now. But yeah, we're still opening businesses.
It's completely arbitrary, and that's where I think it's important for us as individuals to stress test ourselves and really take things not completely at face value. We, like, these past few weeks has been very apparent how media can filter whatever message to really incite fear, and that's how they control the majority of us, is fear-based tactics. And we gotta understand that our health is in our hands, and being proactive with it, breathing your recycled air all day long in a mask versus being outside in nature, completely two different things. And like you said, phase 2, phase 3, I mean, we hear it all the time from individuals that they'll be ready to go in phase 3. And I mean, what is that? Like you said, what does that mean? I feel like,
what are you doing in that time to be ready? So, is that an external thing that, okay, hey, you're ready now, and you're just relying on what somebody else is telling you? Are you actively doing some shit mentally to prepare yourself to be ready,
Because the scary thing is, okay, COVID-19, okay, what's going to happen? COVID-20, 21, 22, these things that are continuing, we could dive into deep rabbit holes, but like with global warming, like things are just going to be in the air. They're going to be a lot more prevalent. So how are we taking care of number one first? How are we building our resiliency so that way when these different viruses come out, yeah, we're gonna probably get it, but our system is gonna be able to fight it naturally, not waiting for this magic vaccine that, who
Yeah.
knows. That, I mean, that's controversial in itself, but
Yeah. I mean, we're not, that's the thing with all this. Like, we're not experts. And even if we were experts, obviously the experts have very opposing views on a lot of the stuff. So, like, we're just coming from a place of, like, being family members, being business owners, and trying to make the best decisions with the tools and the information that we have. And honestly, trying to avoid a lot of the information because it takes away your own agency,
mhm.
your own, gut feelings on things and your own common sense and logic. So it's, again, like you said, the media can instill fear, and depending on what kind of messaging they're putting out there, but just as they can instill fear, they can instill excitement, and they can get you thinking about exactly what they want you to think about. Which can be great at times, like the shift and the real focus on, the Black Lives Matter movement. That shit needs to be seen and needs to be in your face. And a lot of us need to acknowledge that more than we have in the past. But again, now things that are rising in COVID, and you should be able to recognize the shift in media and what they show you now. And
Mhm.
then, like, even just from my perspective, like, things are now moving back away from that. And that's not what we, want to see. Like, we want people to still keep their mind, their eyes on the super important topics. It's not to say COVID's not, but I just want people to be generally curious and interested to see when they feel like, okay, I was super hyped on this week on social media, putting all this out there, and now you're changing your message. Why do you think that is? Like, you're a free thinker, or I guess that's debatable. We want to believe that we're free thinkers, but then you notice that your mind is completely just going with the ebbs and flows of mass media and the shit that they're showing you on social media and all that stuff. So my main thing is just like, think for yourself as much as you can, and remove yourself from some of that stuff so that you can actually come to some decisions somewhat on your own.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important at some point to turn off the news and kind of look at some other resources, whether it's podcasts that you've been following for a long time, and hey, this is one. I mean, one where there's not a there's not a what's the word I'm looking for? There's no bias. Like we're not we're not making, just sharing our opinion and encouraging and empowering people to not blindly follow the masses, because we are super conditioned and programmed to go this way or go that way. Um, and yeah, like you said, I mean, it's just all distraction based marketing. It's, we're not opportunists. We're not jumping on Black Lives Matter because it's the trendy thing to do. We operate our business as a family business and as a minority owned business. These are things that we've always done, but now, like you said, we're gonna put a little more focal point on these things, because if people's values don't align with what we believe in, then obviously they're not going to necessarily be for us, and we're okay with that. But just getting back to like what we're doing to alleviate tensions is, in our gym model, it's an Anytime Fitness franchise, so it's a 24/7 based model. Obviously that 24/7 is being put on a hiatus for now, so a lot of manpower. So we're getting in there kind of old school gym style. We're getting in there, opening the gym, being a presence there. We have a reservation platform, so every member reserves their gym time. So it's 5-to-1 ratio. So there's more space there than at a gas station, more space there than at Trader Joe's. So 6-foot distancing is not a problem. Making sure everybody's sanitizing before, after. Our staff is also, that's their role, is making sure that we're there to answer questions, encouraging masks, but of course wearing masks while doing any kind of intensity and breathing your own recycled air, it's not a good thing. It doesn't make sense. So within reason, if you have space, you don't need to wear a mask because we've controlled the environment.
Yeah, I mean, whether or not it's like recycled air that's harmful from your body or not, like I don't know, but this is probably a great opportunity to have the coaches and give them a little bit of an overview of some of the breathing things that we have in our toolkit in
Mhm.
order to educate the clients about, like, okay, let's take the mask off, but let's only do nasal breathing. You know what I mean? And really get people comfortable with that. Not only from just the filtration system that's built into our nose, but the warming process that air goes through when it's built in or when it's being breathed into the nose. Um, and taking this opportunity to get more comfortable with rising CO2 levels. I mean, ever since we've been wearing masks, you're hearing people complain about headaches and feeling all like shit wearing the mask, and they, of course, they want to blame something, but nah, it's because you're not CO2 tolerant. You can't deal with those rising levels of CO2 without that discomfort. Um, so there's several reasons to focus on nasal breathing, and this is a huge opportunity for trainers to get that message across. You're not, if the fear again or the idea of wearing a mask is from preventing the these microscopic fucking whatever, getting out there and into the space and into the gym and onto dumbbells or whatever. Nasal breathing, you're not having nearly as much force of that exhale. So, that, just on that level, it seems to make sense. Why are we not really doing that? And at the space bar, I put that shit on the sign, so like, we have to have these different signs up as precautions. You must wear a mask upon entering, must get your temperature checked, and, somewhat kidding, but kind of serious. And like nasal breathing is mandatory, while you're in here, just to
Right.
bring some awareness to it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that definitely breathing protocol 101 is just is awareness. Most of us have no idea that we've been mouth breathers for 20 years. And so once we can kind of help somebody call awareness to it, that's definitely step one. Moving on.
I feel like that, I feel a lot safer. How like if I'm walking down the sidewalk and I see someone with their mouth open, like to me, that's, I'm fucking, that's why I'm crossing the other side of the street. Just like, I just could, for some reason, picture all this just like funk and shit, just like flowing. So like, if you got your mouth shut and you're working out, to me, it gives me a sense of security. So
Sure.
I want to see that. And then, since the gyms is open down here, I've been getting the workouts back in and trying to observe all that's going on. And the thing about the masks is the masks work, especially if worn right. And but the thing is, with the gym, you're moving all around, you're grabbing everything that's at the gym, dumbbells, kettlebells, and the chances of you not touching your face is very slim. So unless you got your own little antibacterial hand wash with you at all times, you're going to be touching your mask, you're going to be touching your face, and really that seems to me to defeat the purpose. So in that environment, even though I'm very cautious and I do wear my mask as often as possible and out in public, to me it just does not seem to make sense, not only for other people's health, but my health when I'm in the gym, because I'm going to be touching everything, you're going to be touching everything. If we didn't have our mask on and we were consciously aware, okay, I don't have my mask on, so don't touch your face. That's a lot easier to do than you have your mask on and you're touching everything. That's just getting uncomfortable. I guarantee you're going to be touching the shit out of your face. And for those that are wearing masks in the gym and working out, I noticed that shit because I'm an observer. I'm sitting here watching, and that's what I do to try to figure shit out. And that just doesn't seem to make too much sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, that's why when everybody's talking about health and they're associating the mask and they're associating these other things as health, that's just the band-aid. That's not addressing the root cause. That's what everybody feels good with. I mean, but yeah, the root cause is, what are we putting in our body, and are we controlling that resiliency? Most of us are very fragile. I mean, it's crazy that we're the number one most obese country in the world. Of 40 million plus people, we're number one. And
Yeah.
I mean, I think they said 200 million Americans are either overweight or obese. 125 million have pre-diabetes or diabetes. I mean, it's no coincidence that America has been hit harder than almost anywhere because of this virus, because we're not paid to be healthy people. You know, that's not what society conditions us to be, is health first, you know. It's
Yeah.
it's convenience first, and convenience at all costs. And that, unfortunately, has been our health. I think they said like 94 to 99% of COVID related deaths have been because of other conditions, whether it's hypertension, diabetes, obesity. So how do we, in our little community, how do we fight that? How do we combat and make sure that COVID-22, our community, is going to thrive through that? You know, how do we control the controllables? How do we make sure that we're as healthy as we can be internally, and not just what looks, you know, not what we look like in the mirror, but like what is our cells telling us?
Yeah, I mean, and that, you know, for us, I think it's just continuing to do what we do, try to lead by example, eat well, continue to operate the fit bar, the gyms, space bar, and just try to spread the message of self accountability. You know, because even though those are huge numbers as you're talking about and percentages, every single one of those percentages is comprised of individuals. You know what I mean? And it's not until each one of those individuals takes a level of self accountability to change that. And granted, you know, we can talk about you know, the disparities, you know, the income levels and the food access and the food deserts and all those things that are out there, and why, you know, these segments of our population just don't have access to a lot of great or high quality food,
Yeah.
and then start addressing some of that stuff, you know. So that's, you know, hopefully what we can do more of with our charitable efforts and our, you know, our resources that we do have is not only, you know, right now largely it is, you know, hopefully education and just kind of doing what we're doing, but you know, if we can become more successful doing our part to educate people with, you know, the nonprofits and, you know, the things that Bless have been talking about and getting that stuff out there, because that's really what it's going to be, bigger change. Because,
Yeah.
you know, just knowing stuff, yeah, you can still, there are things, always things to do, even if you know, are broke as shit and ain't got nothing and no resources. Start educating yourself, because there's opportunity out there to make progress and take steps in the right direction. um
Yeah.
as Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, and that's the thing too, is like it can get daunting, you know, for us as individuals to be like, yeah, those are massive numbers, and I'm just one person. And so that's where action is going to be the answer, you know, versus like, oh, I'm just paralyzed with thoughts that, and I end up doing nothing because it's overwhelming. So yeah, kind of like what you talked about is like our that Give 10 foundation thing that we want to do, is like that's how we can help break the cycle for underprivileged youth by, you know, our mentorship program. And so it's one of those things, like we all want to do it and we all love the idea of it, and it just, at some point we got to figure out how do we do it, you know, how do we grab 10 youths that potentially would never have the opportunity to learn about mindset, nutrition, and movement, and bring them into our 10-week program, and just trial and error, start bringing them in and start sharing some of the insights that we've learned over the years. And even if 10% of that sticks with them, that 10-week program is a success. At some point, they're going to share a seed of what they took and water that over the years. And that's how change starts, with one person, one individual, one action. Um, so, I mean, yeah, like you said, we're just going to continue to do what we do and double down on just trying to reach that local impact.
Yeah. As kind of this whole COVID has kind of gone through its phases and stuff, like how have you personally reacted to it? I mean, when it was first gaining steam over here, you were just getting done with the triathlon in Mexico, so somewhat in vacation mode and, you
Yeah.
know, consuming whatever, if any, news down there, versus kind of where we are now. So I mean, this has been, you know, damn near 100 days, a fucking third of the year, you know. So where have you kind of gone, not only in your mindset, but just, you know, like with Bless and the relationship and, you know, staying home and having to be at the cafes a lot more, kind of what's been your process and through all of it?
I mean, like, yeah, I was like 2 days from leaving Mexico, and it was almost surreal. I almost felt like this was like some sort of mass media joke or something. When we heard that we were actually gonna have to shut down our gyms, I was like, damn, this is it went 0 to 60 real quick. Um,
Or in our case, 60 to 0, where it's like all revenue friggin'
yeah,
stopping.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy how to know that we think that we're in control, but at the end of the day, if people want to shut us down, they can shut us down. I mean, physically make us lock the doors of our businesses, which some people think we have the business, we have the right to operate our business. So there's definitely mixed feelings, but I was definitely grateful to have the opportunity to at least keep FitBar operating in some capacity, because honestly, I mean, I feel like FitBar is as essential as any healthcare, in any first line responder in the hospitals. I feel like if you aren't familiar with what we do at FitBar, that in a day, in one an encounter, you can come in and we can help boost your immune system and be proactive with that. So definitely grateful that we had, some of our crew that stood by us, and like all these people that feel like they're not comfortable coming back till phase 3 or 4. Our young crew, they stood in the trenches with us. We did everything we could to protect them and take precautions. But yeah, I mean, it's been a struggle, obviously, to be basically on house arrest for 100 days. Not being able to see our family as much as we like, our folks, who are older. It just kind of puts things into perspective, and it basically shows you that time is not going to wait for nobody. But unfortunately, a lot of us, have really put our life on hold, put our daily routines on hold. Don't wake up the same time we normally do. Don't get movement in the way we normally do. So that's one of the things that I've, it's maybe not as intense as it has been, because stress levels are higher, and being aware that you shouldn't work out as hard as you maybe did in the past when your stress is higher. So it's just kind of listening to my body as much as possible, and trying to be as empathetic as possible, and not not completely get defensive when someone is on this extreme of safety, when I am a little bit more proactive with the way I kind of treat things. So just trying to listen as much as possible, but just understanding that if I'm not my number one, I'm not going to be able to show up for nobody.
Yeah, was was a lot of your fear kind of, or feelings towards like missing out on like revenue? I mean, because you did just buy a new house pretty much right right before all this shit happened too, like a month before, and that's not a cheap mortgage. So it's like these things that we've had and we've gotten. I mean, I wouldn't say I've ever gotten complacent, but obviously I've been living remotely, and most of what, pretty much all of what pays my bills are the things that we put in place back in 2010 and 2011 with the gyms, which you guys are very largely involved in to keep going.
Yeah.
When so it's like when all that shit, so I haven't been necessarily getting complacent. Most of what I'm doing is trying to build other things, because even just in the back of my mind, being franchisees, I've always thought of like, okay, at any moment we could lose all that shit if they got crazy with these, this new franchise agreement or whatever, and we wanted to bail. Like, what the fuck else do we have outside of,
Yeah.
getting great cash flow right now? It's like that shit can stop. So it's always been like, okay, what else can we do that we fully outright own, which is FitBar, Space Bar, and like, what can we do to make sure we're good after these franchise agreements come out? But now this has been a little bit of a taste of what that looks like if we didn't have those, which we essentially haven't had, revenue wise. How the fuck we gonna pay our bills? So,
Yeah. I mean, definitely puts things into perspective, and it's a reality check to make sure that you're never living above your means. When the good times are good, that can be turned off like a light switch. And just to see how, small businesses were discredited so much, and not really, I mean, it was insane. These these times have been insane. Trying to figure out how do we navigate the PPP funds? How do we try to get the EIDL funds or the loan is been a shit show, a clusterfuck. Trying to figure out, do we qualify for this or that? I mean, the fact that I can't or we can't even refi as small business owners, like interest rates are crazy low, but they want to see that our income, now that we open back up, has not taken a dramatic hit. So they want to make sure that, which makes zero sense to me. Okay, so I'm looking for you to help me save money, but you want to see that we still generate the same income to be able to get a better interest rate. So if I'm currently paying this fat ass interest rate, I want to see that you have the same amount of income before I can save you money. Or, the fact that you can't even get a loan as a small business owner at this point. Like, say if you're going to try to buy a property, so it definitely, small business owners are struggling, and that's what we are. So like you said, kind of forces us to figure out, how do we pivot certain things? How do we make sure that we're as protected as possible when the next thing comes? Because trust us, I mean, COVID is not going to be the end all be all. There's, life is going to continue to go on, and there's going to be another catastrophe, and not if, but when. And what are we going to proactively do to protect our families and ourselves at the end of the day?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was somewhat of my frustration is like, when we're talking about like what the media is putting out there and the government, as far as like, look at all that we're doing for small businesses, kind of painted the picture for, consumers or people who aren't small business owners. It was like, oh, they're getting bailed out. All these guys are going to be taken care of. And it's like, so just even having conversations with, customers that were coming in, like, you guys are good, right? You guys getting bailed out. Like, no, motherfucker. Like, that's not how it works. Like, for one, the insecurities that we're having trying to even navigate all this shit is insane. And it's not, and our businesses, we don't have one entity where it's like, okay, all these fit bars are rolled into one, the gyms are under it, and all this shit. No, each one of those is its own business, which its own problems, and that means its own fucking application that we have to figure out how to do. I mean, P&Ls for past 2 years, on every business, balance sheets on every business, bank statements on every business, our partnerships on every business, all that shit goes into one application to try to get funding.
when they
And
when they already have all that information.
yeah, exactly. I mean, we've been filing taxes. You guys know kind of what we're dealing with.
So
And it's super frustrating. And then again, they're like, oh, we're going to, and we're not, of course we know why it's so, why it's hard to get it as business owners, because we, let's face it, man, we take crazy ass risk as entrepreneurs and small business owners, and banks know that, so they want to always put out this message like, oh, they're here to help small businesses do this. No, they won't help at all if there's at all any significant risk to do so. So it's like us being in and we always talk about how we hadn't ever really been able to get any help from banks, and mainly it's because we are in the health and fitness space. Gyms, the success rate for gyms are shit, one of the worst out there, hardest to get loans for. Restaurants, same thing. So we've always been dealing with that, so gratefully we have had a lot of success with the gyms, and even though there was this insecurity if we were going to get any lending, those businesses reflected as, again, very successful. So in this bailout, they know they're going to get their fucking money back. And that's why they offered it for, our business that is struggling the most and is way behind the eight ball, that actually is the one that needed the help, the Space Bar and the Fit Bar Pasadena location. Nah, ain't going to get shit because there's no history. We opened in January. There's no, revenue that we had to show. And rather than say, recognizing all that we put into it, and just, they don't know us, so it's not like, oh, that these guys ain't gonna give up, they're gonna fucking make it. They don't know that shit. They don't know that we put $600,000 into this fucking project. Like, they should know that, but they don't care about that. They don't care about this, all that we've done to get to this point, that like, we're not just gonna walk away. And I think a lot of business owners do, though. A lot of people do. They, whatever it is about us, the way we're raised, like, we don't know how to quit. And the failure rate for these businesses are as high as they are because these people are pussies. They're fucking scared to fucking dig in and put in work. When
Yeah.
if people just knew us, if bankers just knew us a little bit, they would know, okay, I'm fucking with guys that are down to do 20-hour work days and to ruin relationships over this fucking business, be
Well, I mean,
stressed out and lose all their friends and hobbies.
yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's kind of, we got away from like person to person relationships, you know? I mean, now it's just to talk to a bank teller, that's almost impossible nowadays. It's all automated message. You don't have a business, a person to person relationship, somebody that is banking on you physically and literally. I mean, like another head scratcher is small businesses would have gotten a whole lot more support if I'm still trying to figure out where the logic is that everybody on unemployment gets an additional $600 a week. So an additional $2,400 a month. You're making more money on unemployment than you did when you were working at Ross. So you're making $3,200 a month. Like your best month, you never made that money working at retail. So it's like, how many millions and millions of dollars went to incentivize people to not go back to work, to stay
Yeah,
on unemployment for as long as possible? Like we even felt that ourselves. Like, I mean, our coaches are, making more money on unemployment than if they're selling a shitload of personal training packages. So it's like, where's the logic in that? You should be supporting the small business so that they can bring their people back. 8 weeks of payroll is not going to get anybody out of this hole. We're going to be suffering way longer than 8 weeks. 2020 is going to be a struggle, an uphill battle, especially in the health and wellness space, because everybody thinks that we're the number one virus zone. Like when Home Depot is the spot you don't want to be fucking with.
oh, dude, I've been in that shit. Is fucking, yeah, it's
Regular
crazy.
basis. Yeah, Home Depot and Costco, like, yeah, sure, they might distance you until you get into the space. Then it's a free for all. Like, got to get those hemp parts and shit. So, I go into harm's way to get those hemp parts for the cafe.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and slowly, some of those things that, like, when they were first coming out, the government is making adjustments to the SBA and stuff like that. So that 8-week payback is now pushed to 24, which, okay, those are things, but it's like, why the struggle? Why is there not a fucking plan to begin with?
Yeah, but they extended the time period, but they didn't extend the actual money. So
Oh
now,
no, definitely. But I'm just saying, like, why are we so reactive to this shit? And as being like someone who does try to take ownership of this, like, yes, when we're talking about, like, okay, why are these people being so reactive and having horrible plans? For one, you guys are like, should be leaders in our government. So why isn't there a little bit of a plan already in place, and kind of the like, no shit, this is not going to work out in 8 weeks? Why are you guys throwing that on us and having us try to figure that out and then figure it out and extend it? But it does come back to us too. It's like, man, what the fuck can we do business wise to prepare a little bit better? um and that's why it is important to have partnerships, to have different personalities. We need, so we can be more conservative elsewhere. One of us can be a little bit more like a dreamer or do whatever, and just kind of try to balance each other out. But
yeah,
so that at the end of the day, when we are talking about self accountability and responsibility, that's fucking what we need to do. As a business, we need to figure out how we protect ourselves, because it's fucking been shown that the SBA or the government or anybody ain't coming to save you.
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, we need to be a leader of one. We have to make decisions for ourselves. We can't just be the sheep that they want us to be.
So what are things looking like for you in the next few steps, as far as like your focus? Are you getting back into the gym to help a little bit more? Is the fit bars up there looking secure? Where's your focus over the next 90 days, say?
Definitely spending, getting a little more hands-on in the gym, kind of help shouldering a little bit of the stress for Daniel. It's, for the past 10 weeks, we didn't hire anybody at FitBar. So that's always an apprehension, knowing that summertime is short-lived in Seattle. So, our traffic literally almost triples just in that 2 to 3 month period. So yeah, so we brought a couple of new people on, so onboarding them ASAP, so that way we can kind of feel comfortable stepping outside of the cafe instead of staffing it, just really being outside to help share the story a little more. But yeah, just hands on, man, just in the trenches as much as possible. And hopefully, I've been talking about trying to get down to LA to Bless and I road trip down there, or hopefully fly, because that's a long road trip, to get down there and kind of help alleviate some of the stress and kind of put a little more assistance in what we need to do down there, because at the end of the day, all the ships rise together. So it's figuring out where we can best be utilized.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the biggest struggle right now, is that knowing that like we need long-term strategies, and the things that we need to do like right now aren't going to pay off, aren't going to, for one, aren't guaranteed to drive revenue. But there's this hope that the slower approach, educating, networking a bit more with local business owners and leaders, is going to develop into a solid foundation of business for, again, I keep coming back to the Fit Bar Pasadena, and Space Bar, because that's the ship with the most fucking cannonball holes in it right now.
Yeah.
And need to figure that out. And it's like so hard to stay on the path and stay true to that approach when you got fire after fire to put out, like you're doing all you can to plug holes, which is, in that case, trying to really minimize payroll as much as possible. But that means that you got to have your fucking hand on this hole, hand on that hole, knowing that you still got to fucking steer the ship, and you ain't got no fucking hands. And I have horrible fucking mobility in my feet, and I can't fucking steer shit with these toes. So it's like, I'm just like, man, what the fuck? Yeah. So it's a doozy, but we still here, we still healthy, and we are definitely blessed, and we haven't had, mom and dad's all good, and we got a roof over our head. So, there's always solutions, and there's answers out there, as long as you're willing to show up and, just keep greasing that groove of showing up. You don't even need to have the answers, but when you need to be there, that's the thing, is like, Pharaoh's, the gym that I go to, they always got a pretty cool apparel stuff. One of their shirts, during this whole thing was "Keep the lights on," and when I would see that, it means a lot to me. Not only just, again, keeping the lights on for the business, but like the design was like a Illuminati triangle, whatever, with like an eye. Like, you just need to keep the lights on, keep your lights on upstairs in your head, making sure you're operating with your eyes wide open. But at the end of the day, you are the one that needs to flip that switch to keep the lights on, and you need to be in the fucking building in order to do that. You need to be there. You need to be able to reach the switch. You need to be fucking there. You can't run away. You can't hide. And yeah, that's how you keep the motherfucking lights on.
No, I can resonate with that. That's dope.
But yeah, let's wrap this up. I'm gonna actually sneak away up to the Bay Area and go see Laura's mom for a few days. So had some last minute scrambling to get some shifts covered. But shout out to Maddie from coming up to Sunset Beach. She's been a pillar down there. It seems like we only have Maddie's working with us.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Shout out to the to our crew that is in the trenches, because it, like I said, like the tagline is, opportunity looks a lot like work. There's opportunities everywhere, but the best ones, you're gonna have to get dirty. You're gonna have to put the work, the sweat equity into it, and those are the people that we ride with. The ones that can see our vision, but see all the obstacles in the way, and they're okay with getting banged up and bruised. So I mean, that's good that you can get away, because you can only lead as much as you can. Like you said, being completely drained, it's not going to work for anybody. So yeah, it's necessary to take the sign offs, turn the light off every now and then.
Yeah. Now, the last couple of days, I definitely have felt it building. Very short short fuse, I guess. And again, what I always talk about is the most fucked up thing is that that short fuse is always with the people closest to you, and that's fucking annoying because that's your support system and that's the one that they see you acting like an asshole or whatever. And it's like, God damn.
Yep. Exactly.
Fucking annoying. But hopefully after a couple days, get back to things. But yeah, man, appreciate you jumping on board. Maybe as we always mention, do more of this shit because this is the plan. This is how we share our story and get people involved with kind of what we're doing at the Barcode Collective. And yeah, so I hope everyone has the opportunity to actually go to whether it's fitbarcafe.com, spacebarwellness.com, or just the barcodecollective.com and go and take a look at the workouts that we're putting out there. There's 3 workouts for you every single week, a free yoga flow, and then a little bit of breath work and talking about breath work. And with all that I kind of got on my plate, that's like my area of focus that is lacking a little bit, but being able to actually put together a solid education and teaching you about breath work and also having you go through some protocols. So although that's been slipping a little bit on the weekly program, trying to get that on there and let that be the platform. But go take advantage of that stuff. It's free, and now that gyms are opening up, and you maybe don't want to be in groups or whatever it might be, they're good workouts for you to do at home or at the gym. So go check that out. Hopefully you guys are in Seattle. Go get your ass to the gym. Anytime Fitness West Seattle and Capitol Hill are open. Yeah. So any last words?
I think that's, you kind of summed it up. At the end of the day, all we can do is control the controllables. So make sure you're being proactive versus reactive, and mindset is everything. It's our perspective, whether it's good or bad. It's how we act upon it.
Absolutely. All right, dog. Well, get up, get after it, get over to the gym, and we go help Maddie get situated at her first time in Pasadena, and I'll be on the road. So,
All right.
all right, brother. I appreciate you. I'll chat at you later.
All right, man. Later.
All right, later.